Just Eff
It. Hi, I'm Romy,
Hi, and I'm Carla.
and together we are the
EFFing
Madres. We are here to invite you guys into stories of some inspiring madres
who have changed their lives through an Eff It moment. So here we go. Just Eff It.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Good morning.
Good morning. Monday Madres. We are
Motivation
here. I am
Monday.
Romy. This is Carla. Who are we, Carla?
Well, we are the Eff It Madres, and we created this podcast for moms supporting moms, madres supporting madres, through these Eff It moments that we all have in our lives, but we're talking about those big, life-changing, monumental moments where we just decided to say, fuck it, and have that mental mind shift to, make a big change in our lives, whether it's for better or worse. It doesn't really matter. It's just taking that first step for change. And hopefully we are able to share these stories and motivate other moms who are wanting to have this or in the midst of it, just to get that first step in, because that's the hardest part.
That's true. Well said. And we are in ours. And today we have a madre, because that's what we always interview our madres, and we've got a madre that's family for me today. It's actually my stepsister Liz. She's joining us today, and she is an amazing woman, sister, daughter, mother. She's had a very open, loving approach to motherhood. And I'm excited to talk with her and just kind of hear her effort moment when she decided to go after it in her own unique way. So,
Cool.
Okay, everybody, happy Monday. We have Liz Myers, my stepsister, on today as our Monday Madre. So we are bringing her in. Liz, thank you so much with your busy life and your busy schedule for making time to be here with us today.
Oh my gosh, of course.
Yeah, we're just going to jump in with the first question. So when did you decide to just Eff it, and why?
So my EFFing moment was about 5 years ago. Now, it feels like a long time ago. But my husband and I we have 4 kids. 3 of them are adopted. We fostered and adopted before we had our biological son. And you go through the process and they tell you all of the things that you're supposed to do and you're not supposed to do, right? And you take classes and your underwear drawer is looked at. And I know you guys have had foster and adopted moms on the podcast, so you know the drill. But the one thing that they tell you all the time is that, you have to be careful about your information and you can't give your information to everyone. And for us, we never struggled with infertility. That wasn't our journey. We just always had a heart for adoption and really for being a safe place for kids and giving biological parents this opportunity to get on their feet and reunify. We thought we would have 35 babies in our house, reunify them all, and just champion these bio families, right? And we wanted siblings to stay together. And I remember we were about a week into our very first placement with a 2.5-year-old and a 4-day-old. And DCS in our state called and said, you have to have a visit. And I said, well, I'm not going to let this stranger come pick up these horrified kids, right? The police have been there. This too much. We'll drive them. And this moment was upon me where Biomom walked in to this visitation center. And I had this split moment where I knew I could make or break our relationship and I can make or break this experience for my kids. And 4 days into my gig as a mom, and I was like, F it. I'm not going to do what everyone told me to do. I am going to give this woman all of my love, all of my information. This is their mom, no matter what. And I looked her in the eyes and I said, listen, I'm not trying to take your babies away from you. I want to champion you and I want to see you whole and healed at the end of this. And I want all of us to benefit. And that was truly the moment that everything in my life changed. Fast forward, those babies are now adopted by me and my husband. This woman, I talk to her every day. She is sober. She is whole. She is truly my hero in life. And I think about how many moments I could have, any of us, right? You're at this pivotal moment and you think about yourself and you think about what am I going to benefit from this? And in a moment I was like, F it. I don't have anything to benefit from this. I have nothing to benefit from this, but my kids do. And this woman does. And it truly changed my entire life and her life.
It's so inspiring, and I love you, and I love your heart for this. This is like similar to just the episode, the interview we did with Frankie's dad's
Yes,
girlfriend last week.
I
Yeah,
saw.
and just how much it's important for the kids, and when you remove yourself and you take yourself out of it. And I respect that so much because you have always put, and I've seen this journey, those kids first. And you are such an open arms to their family, their mother. And when we stop trying to remove or take away sometimes the mom in situations like this, it only hurts the kids, you know? And to
Totally.
watch you guys have this beautiful dynamic, I'm not saying that everyone can do that.
Totally. And it's not easy. I'm not saying
Right.
like we crushed it over the last 5 years either, right? Like we have learned a lot.
What did you do? What was your specific thing? I guess it would be what you did about it, right? Was basically said F it, and then you just opened yourself up to this person against all guidelines to you and direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is the reason behind not providing all the information simply because, like, for safety
Totally.
purposes for you and your family?
Safety
Okay.
and boundaries. And you know, you're 4 days into a case, you don't know all of the ins and outs. You don't know these people. And everyone is just so cautious. Like they could find out where you live and you don't know what they're capable of. And there's so much fear already in foster care, right? Like you're stepping into motherhood and you're parenting someone else's children. There's nothing normal about that. And there's already so much fear. I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never done this before. And now you're handing me these 2 kids that I didn't birth that have this whole life experience before me. And you're gonna add more fear on top of it?
You also weren't a mother yet on your own
No,
prior. This was your first experience into motherhood.
for sure. For sure. And how much fear you could let come in and like, but these are my kids and this woman and this family is bad or this wouldn't have happened. Like, no, they're broken. And that's what we said yes to, right? We said yes to stepping into these really broken parts of the world. And you hear her story, and it is a miracle that she is even a shred of the human that she is, let alone the character and the grit and the right. Like, so I think it's so much fear that you can easily let that hold you captive, or you can do something about it.
Liz, but not only did you basically give those kids a life, but you also gave their mom a life. I mean,
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
that like people don't look at it when they go into I'm going to help the children, I'm going to help the children. And what a beautiful unexpected thing to
Yeah.
then help this woman as a mom be able to have the relationship she has with her children that she may not have ever gotten, or some other parent could have came in and just removed them or ripped them.
Totally.
I mean, you gave her, I think this is what this space is about. It's women, it's moms, right? You gave this
Yeah.
mom an opportunity to really step into motherhood in a new way.
Totally.
And it's very probable that having that open line of communication actually helped in her sobriety.
Oh, she'll
Because
tell you that. She'll tell you that. She'll say like,
yeah, like
yeah,
by being so open with her has actually helped her be like, okay, I need to step
yeah,
up because I'm allowed to be in my kid's life by
yeah.
you. Like that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And she'll say that. She'll say, like, my husband and I were the first people ever in her life that said, hey, you can do this. You're not your past. You're not the decisions that you
Mm.
made. You have the opportunity to change it. And homegirl, she drug tested for 3.5 years, never missed a drug test, never tested dirty, never missed a visit. Like, and she'll say, I
Wow.
just needed somebody to tell me that they believed in me. And her
Oh,
entire trajectory has changed, and so has mine, because we championed her and said like, hey, you can
Wow.
do
Yeah.
this. And it's the best, most incredible epic moment.
You guys, I'm on my period, so you're making me cry, Liz.
oh,
I'm like the tears are coming to my eyes because just that kind of support and belief in humans and having faith in like one another and giving each other that kind of support and love and power to like change their life.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, like I'd love to have her on here as well.
No, totally, you should.
And you know, her effort
yeah.
moment to like changing her life
Yeah.
and being a part of this new way of parenting
Yeah.
because she also
Mhm.
stepped into a power to allow this.
Totally.
It takes
Mhm.
two.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's a huge reason that we are where we are, is because of
Yeah.
her. And because of
Yeah.
like, it's easy to look like I'm the hero. I this woman is a boss. She
Yeah.
is incredible.
Yeah, I'm sure it takes a lot of courage for someone in her position to be like, "Okay, I can't do this right now. Let me have someone else step in."
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's really tough. You kind of answered this, but like in regards to how, I guess, how you decide or how you felt when you basically said F it to everyone telling you, "No, no, no, don't do that." Like what was that like feeling you felt when you were just like, "I'm just going to do
Yeah.
it." Like what was that for? Like how, can you describe it?
Yeah. I mean, there was for sure several moments of like, holy shit, what did I just do? Right? Like, this could go really bad. But then there was this overwhelming piece that was like, man, but if I don't do this, no one is going to be able to be fully them, right? My kids are going to wonder, she's going to want, like, that's not what this is about. I'm not trying to steal someone's children. Like, I can't let fear win. And I'm really good with boundaries. And I was really clear and said, this is what is okay and this is what isn't okay. And listen, we've had to fight our way to this point. Like, we've had to have sit down meetings even in the last year or two and say, like, we have to remember where we both were 5 years ago because that's not where we are today. And it would
Mm.
be so easy to look at us both today and say, why did we make this decision? And you could totally do this. But that's not where we were 5 years ago. And so being able to, in the moment, like trust the gut, but also trust in humanity a little bit and say, like, this woman also loves her children. She's
Yeah.
showing up. She's not going to hurt them. And so coming to that common ground, I mean, it's terrifying for sure.
Well, and that's the thing too, Liz, I was saying where it's like, you know, even with like the co-parenting thing, like maybe it doesn't work for everyone.
Totally.
Just depending on the thing. Maybe your situation doesn't, but for anyone listening who may be in both either side of this, a mom on her side or a mom on your side, if you can't remove yourself, from it and like you said, have faith in one another and not be trying to steal but actually be working together, which ultimately I think is what foster care was about. It
Totally.
wasn't about
Totally.
I'm taking your kid. It
Yes.
was about how do I work with this family to support them through their journey.
Yeah. And make sure that the kids are safe and that the family is safe. Totally.
And that so much of that got lost, I feel, and
Yes.
can get really messy and such a selfishness. And then the whole point of it is completely removed.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly it.
So what do you think it did for your family now growing as well? Because
Yes.
you have a larger family, if you'd explain that dynamic of your family, and you have your own biological son. What do you think this whole experience has done for your family?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we talk about all the time is like empathy. It when you put yourself in someone else's shoes and you hear their story, it's pretty easy to see how they got to where they are. Good, bad, right, wrong. It just is. And so we now have a 24-year-old that we've also adopted, and I'm 12 years older than her. Like, I'm 12 years older than my oldest child, right? And she's working through a ton of stuff and being able to kind of hold both of these things open handed to say, like, hey, this doesn't scare us. We're not afraid to step into brokenness. We're not afraid to get it wrong. I mean, I hope we get it right more than we get it wrong, but that doesn't scare us, right? And so I think for my whole family to see, for our community to see, when my biological son was born, I remember my kid's bio mom calling me and saying, like, okay, it's going to sound weird, but what is he going to call me? And I was like, he's going to call you other mommy. That's what his siblings call you. And she's like, really? I'm like, for sure. And so when you go to the zoo, when we go to the zoo together and everyone's like, oh, my kids are saying mommy, mommy, and we laugh and we're like, look, they think we're a couple. But it's beautiful. Like, it doesn't look like any other story. And I think that creates so much bravery in my kids to be able to see that, like, they get to live a life that maybe doesn't look like what everyone else's looks like, but I don't know. It's amazing.
That's exactly what Brittany and I were saying the last one we were saying, because they call, Frankie calls her mom and me mom, and like families nowadays and always, the dynamic can look however it's supposed to look. And if we teach our kid that this is family, this is what it is. It's not this, and this. This is what our family looks like. This is our tribe.
Totally.
extended, added. This is our family. You know, we know this, Liz. Like,
Yeah.
you and I are not blood sisters. Your father is my father. He's raised me since I don't have a real father, and he raised me as an adult.
Right.
He came in like, you know, you can still have that bond with people and humans
Yeah.
at any age of any space. It's just stepping in and wanting to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can look however it's supposed to look, and no one really has to understand it as long as your family does. And I feel like you guys have such a strong backbone to you guys are a unit.
Yeah. Yeah. We are. We really are.
Now, it's obviously you guys have built this relationship with the bio mom and everything, but like are there any fears that come up for you even still now with her or anything or
Yeah, definitely. And the really cool thing is that her and I can talk about it. You know, we feel a ton of trust with her, but there's a lot of other people, you know, in this equation. And so when things come up a couple weeks ago, I got an email and it like I was spiraling quickly. And before I called my husband, I called her. And I said, "You're the only person that's going to be able to talk me off this ledge." And 5 minutes in, we're both crying. She's encouraging me. She's reminding me, like, hey, this is the right decision. And it's just this like beautiful picture. But there are a lot of other people involved. And 100% there is cause to be on edge and on guard and to be aware. And so a few years ago, her and I got matching tattoos, and our tattoos say "Be brave." And when I called
Oh,
her a couple weeks ago, she was like, "Hey, this is what we chose. Like 3 years ago, this is what we chose, and we got to be brave. And you're going to be brave, and you're going to keep going." And I'm like, "Okay, you're right. Like I can do that." But yeah, it's scary because they're my babies. Like, right? And I don't want anyone to know where they are or who they are, or you know, it's not always safe. She is safe, but that doesn't mean that everyone's safe. And so being able to differentiate that is literally like a day by day. We got to keep rolling with it and be open and communicate. And yeah, it's tough.
I was going to say, I guess that answers the second half of that question, which is how do you stay in the effort momentum? But you're saying communicate and be transparent and be open. So there you go.
Yeah.
we talk a lot on here, Liz, about like it taking a village, and we've spoke to a few moms at the beginning too that ended up moving to different countries when they had a baby. One of our madres, and she was talking about how the whole community really in other countries and different cultures would parent together. It was like it kind of took like it truly like not just that statement, but took a village. And
Yes.
it's so beautiful sometimes when we see it, like right now in these situations, you guys have a village.
Yeah.
It's you're not alone in this, nor are you claiming to be alone or taking full credit for this situation. It is this village that's stepping in together. And like, man, when we talk about like mothers helping mothers, Carla, I mean,
Yeah,
that
seriously.
is
This is a
right
prime
there.
example.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
definition of mothers helping mothers on both ends.
Yeah.
It's so
And the
beautiful.
only people that benefit are the kids. Like
Uh-huh.
my kids
Right.
have no concept that this isn't
Yes.
normal. And
Yes.
Right.
now as they're getting older, you know, kids at school will say things and they'll come home and be like, "Well, mommy, so and so said this," or "We're on a field trip a couple weeks ago and a little girl says something to me." I'm like, "Hold on, that's not what this is." And they're the only ones that are getting to benefit from all of these healthy adults loving them and filling in each other's gaps. Like I will never be their biological mom. I can't. But they get to grow up with her in a safe role in their life to be able to have that connection, and she can fill in all the gaps. One of my sons is Native American, and I will never be able to give him that part of his culture, and he deserves that. So we have biological family members that are safe on that side of his family that can be that for him. Now, it's not the same. It's not, I can't give him what his family of origin could give him, but we're going to try and we're going to do everything to maintain those healthy relationships so that he has what he needs.
It's so incredible, Liz. It really is. It's so beautiful. And like I'm huge,
That's
and you
incredible.
guys know this and being in my life, I'm huge on it being about the kid. Like that is one of the biggest things I've learned through divorce and co-parenting and my daughter is it's all that's the focus, right? And removing the adult selfishness and pain and whatever, and figuring out ways to communicate and healthy boundaries in order for the kid to thrive, right? Because it's really sad when we lose sight of that, and those kids in foster care, or those kids in divorces, or those kids with multiple parents. Like, imagine what their situation would be had you women not been able to figure this out together.
Right. Right.
That other side is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But when we have
Yeah.
healthy women and healthy adults like ourselves that are at least trying to be,
Right.
you look at the environments that you can create for our children, and then look at who our children are going to be. We talk about this all the time, Carla. Then look at the kids we're raising for the future generation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I mean, part of it for me too is like I'm actively in counseling. My kids, we go to attachment therapy. We have the resources to be able to do that. And I think there's another part of me though that not everybody has that, right? So it's easy for me to prioritize weekly counseling because I have a career that allows me to do that, that I can take, I can step away. I have an incredibly robust community around me that can fill in those gaps. Like, not everybody has that. And so that's the other part that's like, I want to model this not just for my community, but I want to model this for my kids. Like, this is what it looks like to fight for wholeness. Because if I'm not whole, I'm going to be a shell of a parent. I'm going to be a shell of a wife. I'm going to be a shell of a boss, an employee, all of the things. And so I also don't take for granted that we have that ability to prioritize growth, to resource ourselves. I have a therapist that's like, hey, you can't say that. I'm like, okay, you're right. Thank you. I need that. Like, call me out, call me on my crap, and make sure you keep me just in line and in check. So I think that's another part of like keeping that continual effort moment, the courage to be able to do that.
That is super important, to be like making yourself a better person, to also show that your kids that you're making yourself a better person. That is incredibly important. And this is why we always say, like, because of people like you in our generation and younger, focusing on yourself and bettering yourself is only for the betterment of your children.
Mm-hmm.
Like that literally has to, I mean, it's starting to shift obviously now, but like that really, really has to get drilled into people's heads, that like you can't put yourself last anymore. Like, because you just won't give anything to your children. You teach them that they're worthless if you do that.
And our ceiling is their jumping off point. So my entire goal in life is to raise my ceiling so that they have a better place to jump off from. That's it. Forever.
Yes.
Until I take my last breath. That is my goal.
I love looking at it like that. I'm so happy you said that in this space too, so people could hear that, because that's such a beautiful vision of it. And like, I would say, knowing the three of us, and knowing a little bit about all of our childhoods and our parents, like so much of our brokenness and how we were raised and what we saw and how we weren't put maybe first, it allowed a lot of us moms in this age, in this space, to fight for that and see how important it is, because we didn't have it. And so there's this shift of our generation that's like, let's heal, let's stop.
Mm-hmm.
And watching us women do that, and fathers do that, and just parents do that, I'm like, that's what I said, like the hope is that, like,
there is hope.
That's it. There's hope. Like, okay,
there is hope. Yeah
that starts to change, and our kids aren't fighting. They're going to fight something, right? But they're okay. And there's communication, and they know that they're prioritized, and they know that we prioritize ourselves, because so many of us just did not grow up with that.
No.
But you can see the passion between all of us women and us moms right now with how important that is.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally.
Oh my God. Yes. It is like a goal to like raise her the opposite of the way I was raised.
And it's not that we're not gonna, like you said, it's not that we're gonna do it right or perfect, and we're gonna screw up, and that's okay. And that's why some of these effort moments too. And even had you made that effort moment, Liz, and it didn't turn out in this beautiful way, we really think it's important to say, at least you tried, at least you said effort, and at least you effing tried. And maybe it didn't all fall into place like it did beautifully for you, but if we don't have those moments, we'll never know. And sometimes when you have those moments and it does work out, it works out to something like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to any mom listening who maybe is in this situation, listening in here, hearing you, maybe in a similar situation? What would you tell them?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing is, and I think this is a very Western way of thinking, we are very me focused and very like, how can I benefit from this? And the number of times you talk to people, they're like, I'd love to foster, but I could never do that. I could never open up my heart and then have a kid removed. Like, well, listen, I'm not a heartless human. Like, it, you actually can do it. I'm not some like superhero, superpower person that has been like perfectly equipped to handle this. But you can look at yourself like, I'm a whole adult. I have a phenomenal husband. I have an incredible family. I have an incredible community. Like, if I end up broken, if my heart's broken at the end of this, but someone else is whole,
Mm.
I can do that. Right. And so I think when we get to that effort moment and we're faced with it, like, and we have nothing to benefit, it's still okay. It's still okay to say F it and to do it anyways, because that is our legacy, right? Like, I tell my
Mm.
mom this all the time. She did so much better than what she had. I want to do so much better than what I had. And I want my girls and my kids to do so much better than what they had. Like, that is our legacy. That's how we say F it to the world and don't get caught up in like, how does this benefit me and am I going to be better for it? Like, no, I could end up as a shell of a human, but and it's still worth it. It's still worth it to see this woman thriving and raising her babies, or not raising her babies but being active in their life and seeing them on their birthdays and once a month. And we last week talked with Biomom about planning a Disney cruise together, and my husband's like, what? I was like, I feel like that'd be really fun. And he's like, it actually would be pretty fun. I'm like, okay. So like that, I don't know. So I think it's really more, I think the more whole you get, probably for me, the more I spend on counseling, the more I'm like, hey, this actually isn't really about me. Like, this is about my legacy. And I want my legacy to be that we were a family that really put others first. And we're going to be fine. We're going to figure it out. Like, we have resources. We love each other. My husband is the real MVP of our family and pulls more than 50% of his weight. And so I don't know. I think it's for me. Yeah, I think it's less about me and more about could other people benefit, and if they can, like, I'll double down on that effort moment any day, and I'll be all in.
It's similar to what you say, Carla, with the whole if I reach one person with this, or if, we affect one that, I mean, it sounds cheesy, but like Carla's really big about if it hits one person, then we're doing something right and it's worth it.
Totally,
Always.
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah, that's all that matters. If you can change one person, like you did for your kids, but you also did for
women.
their mom.
Right.
Like, you completely changed their lives for the better. So it's that just making that F it moment decision, you changed her whole
Yeah.
life. Like, that's and
Yeah.
yours. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I love this. Yeah, Liz, thank you. Thank you so much. Like, I know how busy you are. I know you're flying out here soon, and
I am.
I
I
can't
can't
wait
wait
to
to see
see
you.
you and spend time with you. And I love you, and I
I love you.
appreciate who you are and what you do. And watching your journey through social media and being able to see it because you're away is just so inspiring. Is there any advice you would give anyone listening, like any links or places to go for anyone in foster care that you want to shout out?
Yeah, I would say every state is so different, but there are so many ways you can get involved that don't involve bringing a child into your home. We had a CASA, a court appointed special advocate, and anybody can become a CASA. It is an incredible way to advocate for kids, for families, for what they desire. It's the lowest hanging fruit. So just finding a way to get involved. I just think that these kids need us, and these our states need us. They're broken. Our systems suck,
Yep.
but we can change that. So finding out what your state provides, how you can get involved and plugged in. They need it. Every single state needs it. So
Awesome.
y'all are amazing. I love this. I
You're
love your podcast. Thanks for having me.
Yay.
I feel so
Oh,
honored.
thank you for being on and sharing your story. It was very
Yeah.
inspirational.
And this is going to be the end where we all say, just
Just
F
F
it.
it.